Can we talk? Are you thinking about buying a home? Well, whether it's your first home or your second home or many homes, I bet you're wondering all the steps it takes to do that. Well, today I'm going to give you all the steps it takes to buy a home. I'm going to get to that right now. I'm Judy Galindo with the Fort Worth Homes for Sale team. And if this is your first time to this channel, thank you for tuning in, and please like and subscribe, and I'd love it if you'd leave any comments below about what you think about this video or if you have any other questions. My partner Deanna and the team and I get calls, texts, and emails from people just like you every day, and we love it. So if you're thinking of moving the next 7 days, 7 weeks, or 7 months, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, because we'd love to talk to you no matter how, even on a Zoom, and we'll help you have a seamless move to Fort Worth, Texas. So you're thinking of buying a house, huh? Well, I tell you what, there's a lot of steps to buying a house that you may not be aware of, but we're going to cover them all today, and you're not going to have any worry about what the steps are. In fact, I've narrowed it down to 10 steps, and there's some little steps in between, but we'll go over that. And I just hope that we can get all your questions answered, and that you really understand the buying process and how it works, and that you, when we're done, are ready to buy your next house or your first house. So let's get to it. Step number 1. First, you gotta plan and organize. So what do I mean by that? Well, I know you're sitting around dreaming about it. I know you've been searching the internet, maybe looking on YouTube, searching for some houses and really thinking about it. But you have to think about what kind of house you can afford. And you know your budget, you know what you're comfortable with paying. And it is a little different from renting, or if you're buying a second home and you're gonna have a second mortgage, there are factors that will qualify you and not qualify you. And that's what we're gonna go over, some of that today. And some of that we'll go over when you call me. But the first point is, think about what kind of house you can afford and what kind of payment you want. And really stick to around that budget. You might go up a little bit. We might be able to find you something even lower, but stick to that budget the best you can. And when you're thinking about that house, make a list of your wants and needs. What do you want in a house? Do you want 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms? Do you want the primary bedroom downstairs? Do you just want a 1-story? Do you want a big yard, a small yard? Do you need a 2-car garage, a 3-car garage? What kind of kitchen do you want? Do you want it open to the whole family room, or do you want it with walls so you can hide the kitchen? Do you want an office? All those things. I need you to write down a list of your needs, and then you're going to write down a list of your wants. And this could be a primary bedroom that has a fireplace, or you might want a pool or a spa, or you want a yard big enough for a pool and a tennis court. I don't know what your wants are. But you're going to think about those wants, and you're going to add them on a separate list, because if I can get you all the things you need and all the things you want in your budget, then I'm going to try to do my very best. Now, there's probably going to have to be some things that you're going to compromise on, but you'll find out when you go look for homes. The first thing you got to do is just sit down and write down, what do I have to have? This is really important. Those are my needs. And then what do I want? The second thing you need to do is organize. You need to organize all your finances, really get together what you're going to need when you start looking for a home, and that typically means stuff for a lender. You also want to look at your credit score. Now, don't let that scare you. If you have a high credit score, that's awesome. You're going to get a great rate, most likely. But it's not just your credit score. And if you have a low credit score, maybe in the 500s, don't worry. There are lenders that can still loan on that. You'll just probably have to pay a little higher interest rate, and that means you may not be able to afford a house as high as you think because of the interest rate. But if you're 620 and above, then we're going to find you a great loan, a great house. And even if you're in the 5s, we'll find you that too. And if your credit score is high, congratulations, you probably have the pick. So you're going to gather your tax returns. If you work as an employee, you're probably going to need at least 1 year, maybe 2 years of tax returns, 2 months of paycheck stubs, 2 months of bank statements. You're going to gather all that together. And if you're self-employed, you're going to need a little more. You're going to definitely need 2 years of tax returns, and you may even need a little more bank statements to prove that. and then maybe even show a financial statement for this whole year, but the lender will tell you all that. And then how much do you have in your savings? Now, savings is really for your down payment and your closing costs. And it also can help you get your interest rate down. If you have a great savings or a 401k or some assets in stocks and bonds, then you have a reserve, so you may get a better interest rate for that. But if you're going to put a down payment, there are all sorts of loans out there. Now, if you're one of our great veterans, thank you for serving your country. I really appreciate it. And if you're a veteran, you can get a VA loan, then you don't have to put anything down. You can get a zero down loan if you can afford the payments. But if you're like most people, your down payment is going to be 3.5% for an FHA, and that's a federally backed loan, or on up to 20% if you're going to get a conventional loan. Now, they do have conventional loans at only 5%, and they used to have them at 3%. I have to check, because most people are either getting FHA because it's a better rate for them, or they're putting more money down and going conventional. And then you're going to have some closing costs when you buy, and those are going to be around 3% or so. So typically, unless you're a veteran with a 0% down, then you're going to need at least 6.5% to up to 20% of closing costs. Now, don't worry so much about that. If you have a little in savings, we can probably work it out. I'm really good at negotiating and helping you get some concessions from the sellers. But the lenders have great programs right now. You'd be surprised at how many programs there are out there that can help you get a house. And that's what you want, because remember, the homeownership in the United States is your right. It is a great benefit. It's a great tax deduction. You will gain equity, and that's what you want. It's a great investment for yourself, your legacy, for your family, and so many things. So anyway, that's what this is all about. Getting you a home, either your first home, second or 10th home, or even a second home if you need a vacation home. Step number 2 is select a realtor. Now, the first thing I want to do is tell you the difference between a realtor and a real estate agent. A real estate agent is someone who's taken all the classes, gone to school, taken the test, and actually passed the test and has a real estate license by that state. And a realtor has all that same thing, but they've also joined the largest organization in the United States, which is the National Association of Realtors. And why that's important is there's continued education in that. There is a code of ethics that we have to follow, and there's lots of rules and just a lot of things that the National Association does. And actually, the National Association is for the clients. They want to help all the people that are buying the home. So that's what they're for. And we join them because we believe in that. And so we get a lot more education. We have rules to follow, and that's what's great about the National Association of Realtors. And only a realtor who joins that board can call themselves a realtor. Otherwise, they're a real estate agent. Now, how do you select a realtor? Well, you can get a referral. You can ask a friend. You can ask a friend of a friend. You can ask friends, sisters, second cousins, aunts who is a realtor. But I want to caution you, because not every realtor is the same. Just like not every lawyer is the same, every doctor's the same, every restaurant's the same. They're all different, right? So you want a realtor with experience, knowledge, education, that knows how to negotiate and write the offers, that understands the whole process, and you want them to have knowledge in that area that you're looking at. So I actually have included a list of realtor questions that you should ask any realtor that you're considering, and I've linked it below so you can print it out and have it with you when you're asking questions. So I have been around for 23 years, and I've been a broker, and right now I'm an associate broker of Ziegler Realty. Fort Worth Homes for Sale team is a team within Ziegler Realty, and actually it was named after my grandfather, Zig Ziglar. Now, you may not know who that is, but believe me, if you Googled him, he's all about character and doing the right thing. So you can be sure that the brokerage, Ziegler Realty, all the agents do that. And I'm proud to be a part of that brokerage. So it doesn't matter if someone's from a very large brokerage or a very small brokerage. What matters is the person. Because if they're a realtor, they can show any listing, they can show anyone's listing, they can show any home for sale, they can show homes that are not listed on the MLS, because they're a licensed real estate agent. And here in Texas, they have rules about that. Now, what you don't want to do is not have a realtor and go out looking, because you're going to be looking at that home probably with the listing agent. Now, that listing agent represents the seller. And what you don't want is for you to go in there and look, oh, I love this home, or and they run back and tell the seller, and guess what? You've just messed up your negotiating on that. And also, are they really going to help you negotiate the best you can? Are they really going to help you figure out what all is going on with that home in that area? You want representation for yourself. Now, right now, there's been some changes in the country, you may or may not heard. And so when you get a buyer's agent representative, their compensation used to come from the listing agent, and that's who used to pay them. Well, now the seller has to give permission for them to do that, and they may not. So that means that you would be responsible to pay that buyer's agent representing you. Now, don't be afraid. You pay your doctor, you pay your lawyer, you pay anyone that does work for you, anybody who works around your house, construction. You're used to paying for those things. So you get the knowledge and the skill that you need. But it just requires a little more work on the realtor's part. We have to contact each listing agent to find out if they're allowed to pay the buyer's agent's compensation, or they're giving concessions from the seller for that. And that's part of negotiating, and I will be negotiating. And if you decide that you don't want a house that is not paying for that expense, and you don't want to pay for that expense, then we'll just move on. And I'll explain all that to you when the time comes. You don't have to worry about that. That's what I'm here for. That's what we'll explain to you, so don't worry about that. The most important thing I want you to hear is you need buyer's agent representation, even if you go to new construction, because those builder representatives represent the builder. They work for the builder, they're paid by the builder, and they're trying to make their quotas and sell things. Yes, they're great people. I have so many good contacts and relationships with builder reps, and they always tell me what incentives are going on for the buyer. They tell me what's going on. And that's a great thing when your realtor has a relationship with new construction rep, because we can meet them and talk to them without you there, before you even come in town or before you're ready to buy a home. We know them. So they're going to be honest with us, they're going to tell us things, and we're able to negotiate for you. And because we know a lot of the builders, we know the best deal. We're not just going to take you to one, we're going to take you to the ones that get you what your needs and wants are. And that's so important for you. So hear me and get a realtor to represent you, so that you're not out there all on your own doing it yourself. And it'll save you so much time and money. And I know what I'm speaking about. It saves you a lot of time and money. Step 3 is getting a lender. Now, you can use your bank or credit union if you'd like, but what I want you not to do not do this, is get on the internet and start filling out forms, because your Social Security will go all over the world and all these people will be running your credit. Do not do that. The best thing to do is ask your realtor for a lender referral. And why that's important is because depending on your credit score and the loan program that you might qualify for instance, if you're a veteran, or you're getting FHA, or you need a USDA loan, or you need a conventional loan, or you need a lot loan because you're going to build a house, whatever the loan program you need, there's a lender for that. And not all lenders are made equal. Some that only have certain programs at their bank. There's some that have better programs at their bank. There's lender brokers that go all over. And your realtor is going to know the best one to use. For instance, I have worked in all these years with many lenders, and they're all so great. If they weren't great to my clients and they didn't do a good job for my clients, I don't work with them anymore. No. So I'm going to refer you a couple of lenders that I want you to try out and see if you like their personalities, if they gave you some good information, if you're getting the best interest rate and fees. So it's not just about your interest rate, it's also about the fees. And we need to compare apples to apples and not apples to oranges, because it's just kind of like buying a car. I hate to say that. You can have a great interest rate, but then you're going to pay all these fees on the back end. So you want a lender you can trust, and that's what your realtor knows one. But you also want the right program for you. And for instance, if you're getting an FHA loan and you only want to put 3.5% down, well, we need to check your credit score and see which lender that's right for, because some lenders can't do lower credit scores, or some lenders give better deals with higher credit scores. If you're a conventional loan and you're putting 20% down, the same thing. There's so many things out there that you may not know and that they can really help you with. So don't think if you do not have the money saved yet, you should still call a realtor and talk to them and see, because what we need to do is part of the planning and organizing from step one is get all your ducks in a row, as we say, and make sure when you can buy. And sometimes if you need credit repair, I have lenders that have credit repair and they're going to help you. And I actually had one that they couldn't buy for 6 months and then they repaired their credit in 2 months. So you just never know. And if you need interim housing, I can help you with that too. I'll give you some great ideas, even help you find some. So don't worry, we've got you covered when you come here. Now, I'm in Texas. Now, if you want a referral to another state, I know lots of great realtors in other states or other areas of Texas. So give me a call. I'm happy to refer you someone that you can trust to do a good job for you and help you get the best deal on a house. So, but we're talking about lenders right now. So anyway, if you want a great lender, ask your realtor, and I can definitely help you with that if I'm your realtor. Number 4. This is the fun part, finding a home. Okay, so you're looking on the internet already. You had your needs and wants list. You're already looking for homes. So a good realtor will help you find the right home. I mean, you're going to need that real estate agent or realtor to show you that home because we're licensed to get in those places. But at the same time, you want to just not look at every home out there because that could be a lot of homes and oh my gosh, you'd be going crazy. So what you want is a realtor that will help you. So based on your needs and wants and budget and what your lender gives you as a pre-approval, how I work is I will go through and look at the areas. We'll talk about what areas might fit your needs, and I will send you exact listings that fit your needs and wants. And then we'll set a time to go look at quite a few together, maybe 4 or 5 or 7. I've even showed 10 in a day when someone was from out of town and had limited time. So you want to look at homes that fit that criteria. Now, every time somebody will tell me that, and then they'll send me this listing they saw that has nothing to do with the criteria. Nothing. And I'm like, what? So I call them because I want to talk this out. Say, now, this doesn't have the primary downstairs, or this has a small backyard, or this isn't the area you said. And then we either talk about it and they change their criteria, because you can change your criteria, or they say, oh, you're right, I just really like that home. Now, I didn't mind them sending me that home because it shows me what they like. And when I know what you like, it helps me pick out homes for you. So the way I work is I go out and show you some homes the first day, at the homes that either you picked out or I picked out if it matches your criteria. And then I have a whole rate your house system that I use to help you pick out the best home for you and really examine how this home is good for you. And then the next day, after I've gone and take you the first day, I need some time, but I look up homes that better fit your criteria. And normally I can pretty much show you homes in 1 or 2 days and help you pick out the home that's perfect for you. And that's how I work. Now, I don't know about other realtors. Some realtors will just run around and show you homes for as long as you want and do what you want. But I know that time is money. House look worn. You're tired of looking at houses. So then you start to you don't want to buy anymore, or you settle, and I don't want any of that. So I'm really working with you to get you the best property for your needs and wants and your budget, and get you the best deal too, because ultimately you want a house that you love to live in, that feels like home or feels like a second home if that's what it is, but that will appreciate, because that's how you have a great investment and build equity. You build equity 2 ways. You either pay it down with your mortgage, that's one way, and the other way is the house appreciating. So you can do both at the same time, and then you have more equity, or depending on what you buy, you just might get the pay down, and depending on the market, because we can't control the market, or if you buy newer or new construction, they've been getting in Texas really good equity, and I can help you find that kind of home for you and see what you like. So anyway, it's a process, but we have a lot of conversation about it. We go back and forth, and I want to make sure that you're not running around needlessly just to look at homes, because Texas is big, Fort Worth is big, and there's a lot of places to live around here, and you could be running around a long time. So I help you do that. The fifth step is the offer and hopefully a contract. And what does that mean? So you found a house you like. So I am going to ask you some terms of that. We're going to talk to your lender. We're going to figure out the market. I'm going to run a market analysis to show you what I think the house is worth. And then we're going to place an offer in writing on that house. And it's got a lot of pages to it, especially in Texas. We have a lot of pages to our offer because we talk about everything. Real estate agents and realtors cannot practice law, but we are able to make an offer and go over it with you. And if you have any more questions that we can't answer, then you can always ask a lawyer. But typically, once we get through going over it, you're going to understand that offer. We're going to present that offer to the listing agent. The listing agent is going to present it to the seller. And the seller can do one of three things. The seller can reject that offer and say, I don't want that. The seller can accept the offer, which is awesome. And then the seller could counter the offer. Now, anything the seller changes, like even if you wanted to close on the 15th and the seller said, no, I want to close on the 14th, that's still considered a counter. So any term changes, any changes on that contract is considered a counter. And all changes have to be either initialed and signed by both parties, or the whole contract's written up and signed by both parties. Once everything is accepted and signed by both parties and all parties have been notified, you are in contract. Congratulations. That is a big step for you. But you don't own the home yet. You've just in contract. So that's when we get to the next step. Step number 6, due diligence. Now, you can write an offer up without any due diligence. You don't have to have any due diligence, but 99% of the offers, unless you're an investor getting a huge deal on a house, or you've been in a bidding war and this is a brand new house, there's a few reasons, but most of the time you have a due diligence period. And in Texas, we call that the option period because you have the option to get out of the contract. And it's during this due diligence period that you must do two things. You want to get a home inspection because you want to get the home looked at, and you want to check on the homeowner's insurance costs. Because homeowner's insurance, they vary from company to company, and in Texas, they've gone up over the years. And so you want to check out the rates to make sure, because part of your mortgage payment is your principal and interest, but also your homeowner's insurance and your taxes. Now the taxes are going to be what the house are, and I can tell you what those are. But the homeowner's insurance, you've got to check rates. And based on many things, you will get different rates with different companies. Now I can refer you companies, the lender will refer you companies, and you're going to check with your own company that you have auto insurance with, or someone's referred you. But checking rates doesn't hurt you, because that matters what your rates is. So you're going to do that during the due diligence period. So the home inspection we recommend is done by a general inspector. And his job, or her job, is to check out everything in the house to make sure it works the best to their ability. Now they're not electricians, they're not roofers, they're not AC people, they're not septic tank people, and so on. They're general inspectors. So what they do is they try to discover everything they can and let you know in a report. They may recommend that you get the roof inspected by a roofer or the AC checked out by an AC person. So it just depends on what they recommend. And they're going to take about 4 hours, sometimes 6 hours, to look over a house and the property. And then they're going to send you a report. Now, it's going to have everything on it. It's going to have a loose doorknob. It's going to have just anything. Some things you can do, but especially if you're buying a resale, you're not buying a new home, there's going to be some little things that are wrong. But what you're really looking for are what are the major things that are wrong, and we're going to ask the seller for those. If it's a new construction, you're going to take that report and you send it to the builder before your walkthrough so that they can fix all those things on the report that they're going to fix. And so it's really important, I think, to get a home inspection. It is optional, but I do think it's very important. And how much does it cost? It's anywhere from $280 on up to $600, depending on the size of the house, how big the house is, which is the size of the house, and also new, age, and the home inspection company. So it just depends. But also I can refer you on that as well. Of course, I have lots of contacts with anything in real estate. After being in for so many years, I do have a lot of contacts. So after you get the home inspection done, and we're going to ask for some repairs, and those are done on an amendment. And the seller can respond 3 ways. I bet you can guess. They can accept it. They can, I'm not going to do any of that. Or they can counter it and do some of them, or change it, or they may offer you money in lieu of the repairs. So there's all sorts of things that can happen. And when we've agreed and negotiated, then both parties sign that amendment, and then we move out of the due diligence period. So that is the due diligence period. It's very important. It's usually the first anywhere from, it could be 2 days on up to 10 days. Sometimes longer, sometimes shorter, but the average is about 7 days, that's what it usually is. Step number 7, that is appraisal and underwriting. Let's take appraisal first. So you are getting qualified to buy the house by your credit score, your income, your debt to income ratio, which I didn't even go over, but we will go over it when we're meeting. And the house has to meet the standards, and that's done through an appraiser. Now, this appraiser is hired by the lender. The appraiser works for the lender, although you pay for them. And that can be anywhere from $500 to $700, depending on the size of your house, maybe even a little bigger. But you pay for that appraiser out of your pocket. And they go out there and they appraise the home based on the comparable market analysis and adjustments with the properties they're comparing it to. And they do all sorts of calculations, and they give you an appraisal. Now, it's much like what realtors use, but we give you market analysis, and they give you a comprehensive appraisal. And depending on how that comes back, they can ask for some repairs to be done if they see termite, or they see not even termites, that there might have been some termites. They'll ask you to get that checked out. If they see anything wrong with the foundation, which happens in our area in most of Texas, but especially North Texas, then they might ask you to get that checked out and prove that that's okay. But most of the time the appraisals come out great because those things are caught during the inspection period. And the appraiser will send their report back. It takes them anywhere from 20 to 30 days, depending on what time length they have to get the appraisal done, based what you have put on the contract and negotiated. So the appraisal is very important. Now, we don't order that appraisal until after your option period, which is your due diligence period, because I don't want you to pay for anything if you're not going to stay in the house. Because if you didn't like what that seller said, you would have got out of the house and moved on to a new house. So we're going to get that appraisal back, and at the same time, you're going to be going through underwriting, and that is where the lender sends you off to the underwriter, and they're going to examine everything, your credit, your debt to income scores. They may call you back and need more paperwork. They may ask you to do some things, or if you owe a lot of debt, they may ask you to pay off some things at closing. There's just some things. That's what comes out in the underwriting. And there is a date in the contract that we have put in that gives you an out if you're not approved for your lending. So if something happens and you don't get approved by that lender, you can get out of the contract and get your earnest money back as long as you get out by that particular date, which is called the third party addendum date. So of course we go over all these dates. That's part of what a realtor does, is keep up with your dates and when things are due by, because in real estate, time is of the essence. And basically these dates are all done by the executed date on the contract, and they have to be met in that timely manner. So that's what I'm looking out for. Now during this period of time, we're all sitting around and we're all like, oh, where's the appraisal? And oh, is underwriting done? And what's going on? And I'm checking with your lender. I'm talking to your lender. How's it going? Got everything you need? Did the buyers give all their paperwork that they needed? Because that is a common problem. Please give the lender your paperwork when he asks, because he has a lot of things to do with it. So once we get the appraisal back and everything's good, now if it priced above the value, you have equity. And if it priced below the value, then it depends on what we put in the contract. If it's an FHA loan or a VA loan, it has to appraise for value. So either the seller will come down on their price, or you'll have to get out of the contract. If it's a conventional loan, and it doesn't appraise for value, then you can negotiate perhaps, depending on what you put in the contract. And there might be some negotiations. I just had a case where the house didn't appraise and the buyer still wanted it because she had seen other houses and it was a good deal. So they split the difference. And it might just be a few thousand, but it will be so worth it to you with your equity that you're going to gain from it. And that's what I'm here for, to tell you if you're worth it or if you should not do that. So once we get through that appraisal and underwriting part, we can breathe a sigh of relief. The 8th step is the clear to close from your lender and the final walkthrough. The clear to close comes from your lender once it's completed underwriting and it's gotten through all the stages of the loan process. And when they give the clear to close, that means they're sending the documents to the title company or a lawyer. And in Texas, it's usually a title company for them to plan on the closing of that. So that's a great step, and you want to hear those words. They're like music to your ears. The other thing we do is the final walkthrough. That's where we walk through the house again. If we have negotiated repairs, we're going to check those repairs. You can also hire your inspector at a discounted fee to come back out and check to see that those repairs were done. Or if there's something you can see, like if you had a window replaced, you can just walk through the house yourself and look at that. It's also to remind you what you're buying, how the house looks. You can measure for some furniture if you want to. And that's where you're really going to inspect the house. So if the sellers move out and they ding a wall, then we're going to ask them to fix that because we have proof that we walked through and that wasn't there. Or if that happened while it's in contract, then we're going to ask for those things. And that's what I'm there for, to help you with that. So there are a lot more to these stages than I can tell you in this one video. For instance, we could talk about home warranties, which I'm not talking to you about because there's more to it. Earnest money, option money, all those things I'm not bringing up because that would make this video so long. I'm just trying to give you some basic steps to tell you how it goes and to help you get through this process. So once you've done your clear to close and your walkthrough, and then your closing date is scheduled. Number 9, closing and funding. So what does that mean? Well, closing in Texas is where you go to the closing table. You're not usually with the seller, you're just with your realtor and yourself. Sometimes the lender goes and the title person is there. And usually when you buy a house and you're not paying cash, you're going to have a stack of paperwork about that big. So it usually takes an hour to close, and you're going to have done hand exercises to warm up because you're going to be signing a lot of papers. And that title person is a notary, and they're going to notarize your signature right there. So you want to have a valid ID with you because they have to prove that you're who you say you are. And that might be a passport or a driver's license. Whatever it is, you need a valid ID. And you're going to close all those documents. You're going to go through all the steps. Even on a new construction, you're going to close on those documents. There's lots of paperwork. And once you've signed all those and the seller has signed all theirs, then the lender, if you're paying with a loan, has to fund it. And that's where the title company will send all your signed docs that they require and the seller's docs that they require. And they'll say, okay, you got everything signed properly. You're good to fund. And you'll have taken in a cashier's check or you'll have wired your money directly to the title company, which we will talk about that when it comes. And then you'll have paid your down payment part, your lender will have paid your loan part, and they will fund the loan, and you'll get a call from me saying you own a house. And yay, congratulations! Now, depending on whether that seller gave you possession at closing and funding, which a lot do, or the house was vacant, or it's new construction, you can move on in. But sometimes a seller has done what's called a leaseback, where they need time after the closing to get their stuff moved to another place. It's not wise for a seller to move before closing because if something happened to your loan or you didn't close, they will have moved out and they will have a mortgage payment and an empty house. So usually sellers need a little bit of time to move out after closing. But if it's vacant or a new construction or they moved out for some reason, they had another place to go, then you can move You can drive right over to that house because you own it and you can move in. Number 10. Now, you're probably wondering why there's a number 10, but there's more to do after closing. And that's what is another great thing about a realtor, because we remind you, during the contract period, you have set up your utilities. You needed help with that. Maybe you didn't know who the companies were. You needed help with if you have a septic tank, or do you need cable? Do you need internet? You need help with all those things. So you've already done that. But after closing, in Texas, if you're buying this home to live in it, you'll need to file a homestead exemption. You may want to set up an alarm system. There's just certain things that you'll want to do after you close. You'll want to change your locks on that home, because remember, that seller has lived in that home and they're giving you their keys. So we don't know who they gave their keys to. So you're going to want to change the locks on that home, which I can refer you a company for that, or you can change them yourself. You may want to get a garage door remote company that if it doesn't have a garage door opener, and there's also, it might be a smart home and you need to set up your codes. You need to change all that, download apps. There's all sorts of things that you may need to do. And if the seller has been leasing it back, then we're going to want to go over there after they move out, check out the home, because you can move right in and make sure it's okay and just get through with all that part. So there's a little bit more to do after you close on a home. And if you have any questions, that's another thing your realtor's for. Maybe you need a landscaper, or you need to know where the nearest pediatrician is, or you need to know where the best grocery stores are, or whatever you need. Realtors are so good at answering those questions. One time, my favorite story is I got a call from a person that I adore. I'm still friends with this buyer. She moved from out of state, and she called me about 3 or 4 weeks after she moved into her home and said, "Dee Dee, I've got a bird in my house. I don't know what to do." I go, "You have a bird in your house?" She said, "Yeah, they're flying all at the top of the vaulted ceilings, and oh my goodness." And it was a first for me. But I said, "Well, I think we need to call animal control." And so I helped her. I gave her the animal control number, and she got the bird out. But that was a first for me. But I was so honored that she thought to call me, because that's what I'm good for. I can help you with any of that. After you own that home, you may wonder what's happening, especially if you buy a new build home. Your taxes may change the next year, and you want to call me and talk to me about that. And there's just so many things after you own a home that you may need help with. So that's what a realtor can help you with. And I just want to say, if you're looking to move anytime soon, or even next year, let's have a call and talk about it. I'd love to speak to you on Zoom. My link to Zoom is down below, and you can call me, text me, email me, and my team is here to help you. We would help you have a seamless move to Fort Worth, Texas. Or if you're not moving to Fort Worth and you need help, I'm happy to answer your questions, help you find a realtor in another place that'll meet your needs. And don't worry, you're going to have a great move and enjoy your house and build equity. So I will see you in the next video.